brisket would never last that long submerged in Orbeez. It just wouldn't happen. Sorry about that. What's up, everybody? It's been a minute. Eric here, Tabletop Haven, coming at you with a little After One-ish Plays reviews. So, what did I receive recently? None other than the one, the only 51st State Ultimate Edition. A game found back. Let's talk a little bit about the origins of how this showed up at my door. I'm not going to say I had zero interest in it. I had my eye on it. I did not back it during the campaign. I was like, okay. So then, I think it was, I don't remember order of operations, but I knew Z Garcia from Dice Tower had it high on his list. I kept seeing it pop up. I'm like, I checked it out. I didn't actually watch a playthrough, which is pretty rare for me to back a game without watching a playthrough on it. But ultimately, I pulled the trigger on it. I'm like, okay, seems good. It seems like a card-based engine building-ish kind of experience. I thought the price was right for what you're getting. I felt confident if I didn't like it that it'd be pretty easy to flip for, decent amount of what I paid for it, 80%, if not more. So, ultimately I pulled the trigger on it. I got it in, I unboxed it, and seemed interesting. It seemed like the components were good. I thought they were pretty solid. I heard some people complaining about the punch outs on it. I didn't have any issues with mine. Everything worked good with me. The one component issue I would say that I have is it came with, oh geez, I just dumped them all over. These wooden tokens, as your scoring markers, and some of them are okay. Like that one is fairly good. They're only one-sided, which is fine. But then a lot of them are really kind of hard to see and not very clear what's on them, and they're just not the best quality things I've ever seen. But it's not the end of the world, because they do come with they have little tokens that I think are used for a different game mode that are a little bit brighter, so theoretically you could just use those as your scoring tokens if you wanted to. Maybe you'd have to use the other ones if you played that game mode that used those. But that's the major thing. They have these nice game tray situations. This is a review, so I'm not going to... I have an unboxing. But, components, they got good wooden components. The cardboard, like I said, I didn't have any issues with. Cardboard seems good. Let's talk about the game. Really like it. I'm not going to say I'm surprised at how much I like it, but it's really good at what it does. I think it's really good at okay, we're going to rewind. We're going to rewind a bit. I've played it 4 or 5 times solo only. So, and this is the base solo mode in the game. There's 2 different solo modes in the game. There's an Automa player you can play against, or there's the base solo mode, which is kind of just it's kind of you're playing against an Automa player, but also kind of not. It's just kind of a very rote, do this, do this, do this, you know exactly what's happening. I think the Automa player is better at simulating an actual player, but I haven't played with that yet. So this is strictly 4 or 5-ish plays against the in the rulebook base solo variant that it has, and it's really good. I can see where this game would be on the top of some people's lists. It's not on top of mine. It's very good, and I like it a lot. Post-apocalyptic is a theme that I'm fine with. I think it's cool. I enjoy it. It's not oh my god, the best thing ever. but it's enjoyable, and I think the theme is good. I think the card art, it's interesting. I think there is not an imbalance of card art, but we're just gonna look at. So these are, I forget what they're called, like contracts or something like that that you can do. So you have like this thing. It's like a little. It's like the junk train. So you got like this little train, and it's like, okay, cool. You got these. You know, you're gonna be. Think Mad Max. It's kind of a Mad Max world. But then you have like this other one, and it's like, oh, we have skeletons with spines on sticks, like so. There's some like intense in the artwork itself. It varies in, you know, intensity and what it does. I wouldn't say. I would say honestly, like this one. Here we go. We got a guy like slitting another guy's throat. He's not like he's kind of forcing him to do something. But there's not, this is probably the like most intense artwork potentially in the game, at least that I've seen so far. So the artwork isn't like TVMA where it's going to be, you know, blood and gore and nudity and stuff like that, but it's on the slightly edgier side, I would say, which is good. I'm fine with that. But the gameplay itself. So how does it work? So everyone is going to have, well, typically in a typical game, everyone's going to have a faction. So like here we go, we have the Mutants Union, and everyone's going to have production, and everyone's production I think is going to be slightly different or similar but different. Then everyone's got the same feature, I think. So you're not going to discard cards during the cleanup phase. I thought in the rule book, like it said, you don't discard cards, and maybe this is just how they represent that, so you know that just based off the having this card in front of you. And then you have actions, and the different actions are based on different materials that you can gain throughout the course of the gear. You have gears, you have weapons, and you have gasoline. And then there's like little workers that you can get. So this is kind of your basic stuff you can do, what you're going to produce, the actions that your faction has specifically towards them. Some of them are more aggressive oriented, some of them are building oriented, some of them are more towards if you're trying to make deals with the different locations and things like that. So essentially you're going to have a hand of cards, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple stuff. Each card is going to have a distance on it of 1, 2, or 3. So you got 1, 2, or 3 in the distance. And then every card is going to have at the bottom, if you flip the card over, it's going to have a deal. So if you make a deal with this particular location, they're all called locations, even though some of them are people and things like that. But if you make a deal, you're going to flip this up, and this becomes part of your production at the beginning of every round. So you can kind of build up your production. There's also three different types of things that can happen. When you build a location, it can be either a production location. So you're going to put this at the top of your board. It's a production, and it'll say production on it, or open production. Open production means that other people can send their workers here to claim that particular thing. So this is going to produce gasoline for you during production phase, but then other people can send workers here to get gasoline. So that's something that can happen. Does not happen in the solo mode. You can send your workers to the opponents, but they're never going to come and use your stuff. It's just not interactive in that way. So you have that. Then you have features. Features is going to be your middle row here. So anything that you build is going to go in the middle row in your features, and that's usually just some kind of ability. So like this one is you can store up to 3 deal tokens during the cleanup phase. So normally everything you have gets discarded during cleanup phase. So anything left over, you're out of luck. But this is going to let you store certain things on this card. And there's other cards that let you store gas or weapons or whatever. So that's the features, is typically that. It gives you some ability that's going to help you over the course of the game. And then there's actions. Actions are going to give you anything from trading resources. You might trade a cog in for building materials. You might trade gasoline in for points. You might there's all different things to actions, and then the actions can be done once a turn unless otherwise specified. And that's pretty much it. So that's going to go in your action phase, or in your action section. And you're just basically building out a tableau. It starts out and you're kind of like a lot of these games, like, oh, am I going to be able to get anything done? And then it just kind of ticks forward, and you just build up, and the game, I think, technically can go longer than 6 rounds. The game end triggers when any person at the table hits the 25 victory point mark. That triggers end game, so you're going to finish out the rest of that round when somebody triggers 25 points. So, so you can either make a deal, so you're going to spend the blue deal tokens, and if you want to build this one from your hand, you spend 1 because it's a distance of 1. You spend 1 deal token, you flip over. Now you're going to get an extra person at the beginning, an extra worker at the beginning of your production phase. If you have something with a distance 2, you'd have to spend 2 tokens if you wanted to make a deal. And this one's going to give you a wild token at the beginning of each phase. And same thing like with distance 3. Distance 3, you have to pay 3 tokens if you want to make a deal with this. Now, a lot of times the deals, the value, the distance value for a deal, you're not going to generally get more for dealing with a 3. At least I haven't found that to be the case. I could be wrong, but no, because like here's a 1 that gets you a brick, and this one's a 3 that gets you a brick. So obviously you'd be better off only spending 1 to get the brick as a deal versus 3. And then it's the same thing. If you can get building tokens, which are the gray ones, and then you just have to pay however many building tokens the distance is. So you pay 3 building tokens, you build this, it's going to go into your action phase, you spend 1 worker and 2 bricks to gain 3 victory points. Simple as that. And then the last thing you can do, well, not the last thing you can do, but the other major thing you can do is you can destroy buildings, either from your opponents or from your hand. And those are going to use the red, I don't know, we'll call them aggression tokens. So it's the same thing. If it's in your hand, it's going to cost you however much it is. So if you spend 1 aggression token, you can, it's called raising, you can raise this location, and it's going to get you a weapon and a worker. It's simple as that. Just goes into the discard. You get the spoils. You lose the action token. If you wanted this one, it would cost you 2 aggression tokens. Gets you 2 blue deal tokens, and you get to draw a card. Goes away. Now, alternatively, you can attack other people's locations that they have already played on the board. Now, it's going to cost you more. First of all. So there is, take that, in this game there is player interaction, there is player aggression, you can like mess up people's engines and things like that, but it is going to cost you. Because depending on if you want to do a production, a feature, or an action, it's going to cost you this many aggression tokens. So to destroy any of their production, you have to spend 3, any features it's 4, and any action cards that they have, it's going to cost 5. It's not easy to get 5 aggression tokens at one time. It can be done, obviously, but you're investing a lot into destroying that location. Now, you're going to get the spoils off that location, but then they will also get whatever's at the bottom as a deal as kind of compensation. But they can also use that. That's going to become a ruin in their thing, and they can build easier on that ruin, and then they get points. And so it's not always necessarily the worst thing to have your stuff destroyed. It can be if it's one of your like main cards that triggers your engine, but it's going to cost the other person a lot to do it, and may or may not be worth it for them and you. So I really like it. I really like the flow of the game. Now, I think this game has potential to be even better, and probably is a lot better. I enjoy it a lot at how I'm playing it, because I'm just kind of doing my own thing. There's a bit of interaction, like the Automa player that you're playing against, the basic solo variant that you're playing against, is trying to destroy your stuff. He's going to attempt to destroy your stuff every round. So you are getting that interaction where things are going to be destroyed that you've built. There's ways to mitigate that. It follows a whole tree of like how it decides what gets destroyed. Really simple, but there is that interaction. But I think playing this with other players, I think this game would be even better. And that's pretty cool to think about because of how much I like it as what it is. There is potential, I think it's a very, very small potential, that it would kind of lessen my enjoyment of the game, but I don't think so because theoretically you're going around in clockwise order taking actions, and then once someone passes you can no longer interact with them. In the solo variant, that barrier where you can interact with the other player comes pretty fast. It's usually like by turn 2 or 3. Whereas if you're playing with other players, there's going to be a lot of people doing a lot of other actions. So it's going to slow the game down, which I think is another reason I like it a lot right now, is it's so snappy and so quick. I can get it to the table and just play it and just feel like, okay, I'm doing things, I'm exploring the cards. Also, in the Ultimate Edition, there's a whole bunch of expansions. I've only done 2 of them. There's 2 expansions that you just throw extra cards in, and they're just more variety of cards. So that's all I've done. There's like 3 or 4 other expansions in here. So I've done New Era, and I've done Winter. So there's No Man's Land, Moloch, Allies, and Scavengers that I haven't touched yet that add more. I don't think it's ever going to be a lot, but it adds more to the game. So I haven't touched those yet, but I'm excited too. I think it's going to be cool. But like I said, playing it solo, you get a real good experience, a quick experience, and you can experience how the game feels. With more players, I think I would love the interaction around the table a lot more. I think I would love less that it slows down the game, but I think it would be worth it. I think the extra time spent around the game with other players the interaction would outweigh that extra time. I think it would be a lot of fun. So I'm going to really try and get this one to the table with 2 or 3. I think it plays up to 4. You could play it at 4. Like, I'm sure you could play it at 4, but I don't know what I didn't look up what the recommended is, but like I feel like 2 or 3 would be real good and real fun. So I'm going to attempt to do that at some point, hopefully soon, because I am really, really liking this game. I'm really, really liking what it does. I think it does it, like I said, it does an engine building. It's got a bit of slow build. There's generally only 6 rounds, sometimes 5, 6 rounds where you gotta maximize your stuff and starting to see the picture, starting to see your development come into focus and be like, oh, I can do this. It's got that chain ability. It's got chaining left, right, and center. Do this, can do this. Okay, and then I can get this. Okay, I can raise this out of my hand, which is going to give me 2 building tokens, which will allow me to build this, which will give me 3 points, but then it'll also give me this, which will unlock this. Like, there's a lot of that in this game, and I think, like, with the other expansions, there's probably more potential for that. And I think it's really, really good. Number. I didn't even think about a number on this thing. I'm really enjoying it right now. I think I'm going to put it at an 8 right now. With a heavy, heavy caveat that I think this could go higher. Like, I want to play it with more people. I want to try the other solo variant, which is a more interactive Automa. And then I also want to try with other players at the table, see how badly it slows down the game. I'm guessing it's going to be one of those things where the first time you play it with people that have never played it, it's going to be a grind. But once you have some people who know what's going on and can get it like flowing quick, like I think this game has a lot of potential to be really, really good, and I can definitely see why this makes people's top list. I think it's interesting. I think the theme for Z is what does it and what puts it like at his number one. I mean, the gameplay is fantastic, but I think the gameplay, and he loves this setting and this theme, so I think those two things combined are what put it at his number one. For me, I think the theme is good. I don't dislike it. I'm not like anti, but I'm a little surprised that I don't see this game on a lot of other lists. I very rarely see this. Not that I watch everyone's top 100, but like, it's his number one, and like, I don't see it anywhere on anyone else's list. And I think it's really good. And so I'm very excited that I ended up pulling the trigger on it. I'm pumped to have it in my collection, and I'm pumped to explore this game a lot more, because I think it is, like I said, with other players, I think it's gonna be a real gem, and I am super excited that I own it, and I'm glad I ultimately randomly pulled the trigger on this game, as I think it was the end of the year, and I still had like a bunch of money in my budget, and I was like, all right, you know what, for $80 or whatever it was, like, I'm just gonna do it. And like I said, I wasn't too worried about, losing a whole bunch of money if I had to resell it. So I was like, yeah, we'll take a try on it. Like, it seems solid, and yeah, I'm glad. I think this one is great. I think it's I'm happy with it. We're putting it at an 8, but I'm going to hopefully get to this table with multiple groups and try the other things and come back with a full review, and we'll see where my ultimate number ends up on it. But 8 right now, with a lot of potential to go up, because yeah, this game it hits the sweet spot for me. I think it really does. And if I want a 45-minute like solo experience that's gonna 45 minutes to an hour where I can just sit down and just think and build an engine and combo things up, like, it's real nice. Real nice. So yeah, 51st State Ultimate Edition. I am a huge fan, and I'm hopefully going to be an even huger fan at some point in the future. So thanks for watching. You can have yourself 23 points today. Appreciate you watching. The whole like, subscribe business. But I love ya. Keep playing games. Have fun. Be good out there. Bye.